welcome back to Stack Hunters. Bradley Stalder, Dan Williamson in the house. Dan, you're not Chuck Bass.
I am not Chuck Bass. I can do a passable imitation, possibly, but I'm going to need some tequila and a little bit of time.
Chuck, that was, if you guys haven't checked out the Chuck Bass episode live from Canton, Ohio, location Fantasy Football Expo, Chuck Bass joined the Stack Hunters. He joined me on that podcast last week, and it was an absolute riot. So if you haven't checked it out, it's full of good analysis. We've got people popping their heads in, people you may know from the fantasy space, people you may not know, but check it out. Dan was off gallivanting in Canada, I think, right? Somewhere in the world, not Canton, Ohio.
That is correct. I was in a canoe with extremely primitive conditions, just fighting the wilderness, Grizzly Adams style. No, it was a fun trip. You do only have the things with you that you bring with you because there is nothing there, literally nothing. But yeah, great trip, lots of fish.
Tip a canoe and Dan Williamson too.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
Well, the people are here for the fantasy goodness, and that's what we're going to bring everybody tonight. Dan and I are going to talk about players we just can't leave our fantasy football drafts without. These are, we're going through the drafts. We're like, hey, this player comes up. Our eyes are drawn. The stacks are stacking. We need this player on our team. This is the one. And, I find myself, because I'm finishing up, I went through like almost 200 slow drafts, which if you ever have the opportunity to put yourself through such a purgative state, it's like a mini Lent for those who are Catholics, right? It is, it's a moment where you realize you're getting stoned to death by popcorn by the time you get to the 13th, 14th round of about 200 slow drafts. You're like, wait, I'm drafting Wan'Dale Robinson again. Yes, I am drafting Wan'Dale Robinson. He's not on the list for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but that's the idea.
My list. You don't know that, Bradley.
Okay, he's definitely not on my list. That I'm not going out of my way to draft one. Although, okay, in like a deep redraft league in PPR, I don't mind a Wan'Dale Robinson here and there, but he has zero ceiling because he just is short.
There you go. No ceiling,
short.
I get it.
That's what the analysis is. That's why we're paid the big bucks here, Dan, to give height analysis for fantasy football. Dan, we're going to bring the goodness. I'm going to start out and looking even in round one, I rotate through a lot of the top guys. That's how it was. I want pretty even exposures to guys at the top. But one guy I'm finding that I'm clicking a lot, and I don't like leaving my drafts without him. This is a player that I drafted at the Kings Classic, fantasy football expert draft, invite-only draft in Canton, Ohio. I selected Malik Nabers in that draft, and I can't leave my drafts without him. I get the arguments that Russell Wilson has thrown for 230 yards on average over the last 5 seasons per game. I don't care. Malik Nabers has the 200 target upside. There's no other player on this team that's going to command targets in the way that he does. I also don't care about the foot or the toe issue. They're just being conservative with their only weapon in this entire New York Giants offense. So no, I don't have worry about Malik Nabers' injury. I don't worry about the offense. If he was on a team that had any semblance of a quarterback room talent, he would be in the same conversation as CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. So we're banking in all this floor, but the ceiling also exists. And he was a player that paid off ADP last year. And I just I keep clicking Malik Nabers at the end of round one, Dan.
I can't fault you for that. I mean, obviously the toe is probably the biggest issue or potential issue, and they're doing exactly the right thing. As you said, his quarterback's situation, as bad as we want to think that Russell Wilson is, his quarterback situation is still 10 times better than it was last year. Last year, it was, basically a bunch of players that were simply not able to, functionally move an offense. And so, when you only get 3 downs before you got to punt, it's hard to really get a lot of fantasy points. Yet somehow he managed to get a ton of targets and a ton of fantasy points. So I'm going to take Russell Wilson. I think he's at least competent. Jameis Winston, if he gets in there, it's YOLO City. We're all happy about that. And Jackson Dart probably is going to be a little bit YOLO City too. So, no matter which way this quarterback situation goes, it's going to be a better quarterback than what he had of any of his quarterbacks last year.
All right, I have one question, and then Dan, I will let you give me the player you want. You don't want to leave your fantasy draft without. Russell Wilson, over under 13.5 games played.
I'm going to say under, just because I think the Giants are going to stink bad enough that they're going to have to put Dart in at some point. So, for him to hit 13.5 games played, I think you're probably looking at a Giants team that's at least within a game or so of 500 late in the season. And I'm, looking at the Giants' schedule to start out with, it's horrific. I mean, I think Russell Wilson might be the sacrificial lamb just to get through like the first 6 games, and then they're going to turn it over to Dart. I have no inside knowledge of that, but it seems as likely as anything.
I asked because Malik Nabers has a bye week 14. So do they get to the bye week and just switch?
I mean, I think they'll switch before then.
Okay.
So,
all right, Dan, hit us with your player that you don't want to leave fantasy drafts without.
I'm taking a player that 2 years ago was the toast of all of fantasy, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he is one fantastic wide receiver who's in an ideal spot. I mean, the Cowboys defense is not what it used to be. They're going to have to throw. Dak finally looks healthy. And as we have mentioned on here many times before, Bradley, Dak is an every other year quarterback, and this is
hashtag analysis.
Hashtag analysis. It's an even or an odd numbered year, so that means that Dak is going to be good. Now, I like CeeDee Lamb's situation. He's a clear alpha on a team that's going to need to pass a lot. He's got exactly the right supporting cast. I mean, Pickens can definitely take some pressure off him. He's got Ferguson working underneath. And Lamb can work both in the slot and out wide. So, those are the kind of players we really like. If they've got slot plus, those tend to be the real target monsters. And, Dak will definitely swing it as well. So I'm loving CeeDee Lamb in the middle of that first round. Apologies to you, but I'm taking him before Malik Nabers. He's coming after some of those early guys that, you're just not going to have access to if you don't take them in the first 4 or 5 picks. But, once we get to pick 5, man, it's CeeDee Lamb time for me.
Boom. There we go. CeeDee Lamb. I am also taking Lamb over Malik Nabers, but that's the tier that Nabers should be in. Like, it shouldn't be tier drop. He should be in that same tier I mean, you're going to take Chase, but I think Lamb, Jefferson, and Nabers, and Nico Collins. I think that's the tier. Honorable mention, Nico Collins.
Right, but these are guys, Bradley, that have wide receiver 1 overall in their range of outcomes. I mean, would you be surprised at all if CeeDee Lamb outscores Justin Jefferson? Would you be surprised at all if he outscores Jamar Chase? I mean, maybe a mild surprise with Chase, but not really.
Well, Chase doesn't have like a floor. His ceiling is monstrous. It's the highest ceiling of any wide receiver in the NFL. But what's sometimes scary are the relative zero games that Chase can give from time to time. He is a little more boom busty than CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that ties into...
Lamb was a warrior last year. He was playing through injury and no Dak and everything else till they finally just shut him down. you know, and they said, you know what, knock it off. We don't need you. This year is a lost cause. And he's like, okay, but you know, he was continuing to, you know, suck it up and get out there. So got to admire that as well.
Oh, Pete Terranova jumps back in. Pete, Chuck Bass is not on this stream. You're safe. You are safe to join the chat. You can be marked safe from Chuck Bass being in the chat, Pete. So welcome back to Stack Hunters, Pete. Yes, honorable
Bradley, I'm
mention.
watching our numbers, and they just dropped by half when you said Chuck wasn't here.
They're currently at 69, which was very nice.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. Yes. So honorable mention Nico Collins. I think Collins deserves to be in that tier. And then it is a tier drop. I think that you go from Collins, and then you're looking at Puka and Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Drake London. Like, there's a clear tier drop. I don't think wide receiver 1 overall is in the range of outcomes for like an Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Drake London, maybe. Like, I don't know. Not there. And AJ Brown, wide receiver 1 overall, is not within the range of outcomes, not because of his talent, but because of the offense he's on, right?
Volume.
The pie is just so small. So I'm pretty out on AJ Brown this year. That's a player that I just can't do, Dan. Oh, Pete gives us $5. Thanks, Pete. You reimbursed me for the beer that I bought for Chuck at the expo. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for taking care of my guy.
We're not going to ask you, Bradley, was that a good decision or a bad decision to purchase that beverage?
It was the best of decisions, Dan. It was the best of decisions. So I talked about Chase earlier, and I have nothing against drafting Jamar Chase. I'm consistently clicking him when he goes 102, 101, 102, 103. I've not seen him fall outside the top 3 picks in any of the drafts that I've done. But my concern with his floor ties into another player that I'm very in on, and I want to be drafting a lot of, and Dan knows exactly who I'm talking about, and it is T freaking Higgins. You want T Higgins on your fantasy team in 2025. Yes, you do. Oh, he's going to be so good. Dan is like, oh my gosh. He knew this was coming.
I knew it was coming.
T Higgins. You want T Higgins. He is the upside play. The Bengals have done nothing of significance to improve their defense. Trey Hendrickson is still out. Shamar Stewart missed a lot of the rookie time, their first round pick, and he's a boom bust prospect anyways. So is he going to boom in year 1 with that type of defense? Probably not. So now we've got an offense where nothing has changed. Oh, unless you say, oh, we brought in Noah Fant. No, if your argument against T. Higgins is Noah Fant, get out of here. So, look, nothing has changed for Cincinnati. They have arguably MVP caliber quarterback. If the Bengals get to 10 wins, Burrow's in that conversation. Like, to win it, not just because everyone's fatigued with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen just won it. So I wonder what Joe Burrow's MVP odds are, because that is, I'll have to talk with Ryan Reynolds, see if he is in on the Joe Burrow MVP odds. Nevertheless, T. Higgins out-targeted Jamar Chase last year until like the last 3 games. It was neck and neck. You weren't sure who was going to out-target who in each game until the last 3 games where Chase pulled away. It was fine. But for almost the entire season, they were essentially the same player. They crushed. And that's what showed up for our fantasy teams is T. Higgins upside. I keep smashing because he goes in now round 3 in lots of drafts. But yeah, give me the guy who has the same type of upside that Jamar Chase has in round 3. Yeah, that's why I'm clicking on T. Higgins.
All right. I've spent the entire offseason trying to save Bradley from T. Higgins. And I've been unsuccessful. So
I have dug deeper. Dan has created I've rebelled against the GOAT district.
So anyway, I won't say too much negative about T other than check that injury report carefully because he's hard to trust. I would never call a player injury prone, but T Higgins seems to have a habit of coming up small a lot, and sometimes even when he's been announced as he's playing, still coming up small. I mean, I know with best
Dan's
ball,
just
it
hashing out his
doesn't really
feelings
matter. But
right now. He's hurt.
you know,
He's still feeling hurt from all those zeros that T Higgins got him.
I am, yeah. And I've had to, to fight this battle against Theo. I've had to fight it against Andrew, and all my former co-hosts. And Bradley, you're just, you're another guy that's coming at me with it.
Another future ex co-host. That's how I see it, Dan. That's how it is.
We're all ex co-hosts at some point, but
all right. Before Dan fires me mid podcast, get to your
wait a second. This is your podcast. How can I fire you?
Give us another player, Dan.
All right, I'm gonna go with a tight end here, George Kittle. I mean, the setup is just phenomenal. He was basically on a per game basis, he was the number one tight end last year.
Yes.
This year, San Francisco basically I think their whole team is just basically they practice over like a Indian burial ground or something because it's really bad. I pulled that from somebody on X. I don't know who, but it was a good one. Whoever you were, I forgot who it was to accredit, but
Anonymous X.
One. But anyway, it's just really bad. I mean, their pass catchers are all hurt. I mean, we've got Juwan Jennings who's got a calf. I don't know. Is
contract
it really
calf?
Contract calf, or is it a real calf, or something like that? I mean, it sounded like it was a real calf earlier. Now he's going back to that same well, so I don't know. Shanahan doesn't seem to want to talk about it. And then, of course, Ayuk also out for quite a while. Cowing just came back
they said at least
ago.
week 6.
Yeah, week 6. So,
and that Shanahan, he lies. He lies all the time. He's not a truth teller. Like Coach Speak Index probably has him in the negatives.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. So anyway, Kittle has got the perfect setup here. They are going to need him in the passing game. With McCaffrey back, that's also going to help out because that's going to take a little bit of the pressure off. And I think we're going to see Kittle streaking down the middle of the field, hauling in those balls and knocking over defenders like bowling pins, as he often does. So I love Kittle, and you can get him basically in the late second round in FFPC. You can get him in the third round pretty much anywhere else, and I think he's a great click at that point.
Yeah, he's a 3-4 turn guy on Underdog. Jordan Watkins is also hurt.
Yeah.
Cowing, you just said is coming back. Demarcus Robinson is going to be suspended for the first few games. And so you have so much opportunity. And Kittle is not, because traditionally we think, the targets either go to the tight end or the running back. Right? There's historical data to suggest that most of the time, if your tight end gets a lot of targets, your running back does not. That's not been the case in San Francisco when Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle have been on the field. Debo is not there. Ayuk is going to be out. They're going to use Kittle to win down the field. So this is not one of those scenarios that is the typical what goes up must come down.
Right. This is not a zero-sum game here between the two.
So I'm also with you, given the clarity we received on the wide receiver injuries for San Francisco. George Kittle, a very good play. Season-long play. We're here for it. A player I am also here for, and I've been pounding the table for years for this guy, and there was a lot of chatter at Canton about Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze is going to be the next truth. Roma Dunze is going to... No, the answer in Chicago is DJ Moore. Let's not get cute. DJ Moore if he didn't have such a terrible offense last year, he would not be the wide receiver 23 in ADP. He'd be the wide receiver 15 in ADP. He'd be going with the Devontae Adams, the Jackson Smith and Jigbas, right? He would be going ahead of Mike Evans. But no, because of the fear of what happened last year, and he didn't even get 1,000 yards receiving, he got his target share. It was just the offense was extremely inept. This is a player who has every single year 25% target share. That's what you're getting from DJ Moore. He can win on the inside. He can win on the outside. There's been so much chatter about who's going to be the slot receiver. DJ Moore could play part in the slot. Some Amon-Ra targets if you're going with the Ben Johnson offense. I don't think enough is built into the current value of DJ Moore, where he's going, and what he can bring for your fantasy team. Because right now, an underdog, he's going at the end of round 4. You could probably get him at the beginning of round 5 in some drafts. Imagine round 5, DJ Moore, insta-click, going behind Terry McLaurin, whose touchdown regression is going to leave him to 0. Going behind Xavier Worthy. Going behind Xavier Worthy. Like, what? This is wild talk. Give me all the DJ Moore here, Dan. This is the alpha of alphas in the Chicago offense.
If you are a Ben Johnson truther, then DJ Moore is definitely your huckleberry. That's the long and the short of it. He is the guy who's most likely to benefit from Ben Johnson fixing this offense. So, and I am a little less certain than you that Ben Johnson can fix this offense, but
I mean, he's gonna have to get the clear nail polish out for Caleb Williams.
Yeah. He's
all right. There's the title of the podcast: Clear Nail Polish, Caleb Williams.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, I think he's a fine pick where he's going. I'm in general kind of fading the Chicago passing offense earlier in drafts, trying to pick up later pieces. But I understand where you're coming from. It's like the T. Higgins thing. I mean, I get where you're coming from. If it makes sense, it's not me, but it makes sense.
That's fine. That's why we have both of us on this podcast.
That's
Dan
right.
Williamson. All right. You
like
say this is not your
the
player.
hosts don't totally agree every single time.
Dan's trying to play political because he already threatened my job on this podcast earlier.
You were the one who started talking about ex-podcast host. I mean,
goodness gracious! All right, Dan.
All right.
Give me a player Bradley, you do like that. I'm like 1 for 3 tonight. give me a player that Dan Williamson likes.
All right, I'm going to give you a player Dan Williamson likes. Are you familiar with the term thirst trap, Bradley?
Oh, am I aware? This is what I am. I'm aware of it. I am aware that these exist in the world. Yes.
They do exist in the world, and let me tell you what. The biggest thirst trap in the world right now in fantasy football is TreVeyon Henderson.
Oh, I drafted him as my RB1 in the experts draft. It's a 14-teamer, and I just got boxed out at running back, and I said, you know what, TreVeyon's going to be my guy. Yeah. But is that going to be your guy too, Dan?
He is my guy. I mean, you remember in the Hardway draft, he was my first running back taken as well. I didn't draft a running back until like the mid-5th.
Yep.
And it was TreVeyon for my first running back. And believe you me, I have been nothing but more and more excited about that pick as we go along because every time that guy touches the ball, I mean it seems like it's a highlight play. He's got the draft capital. He's with an offensive coordinator who knows how to use a receiving back who's maybe just slightly undersized. He's got speed to burn, and he's got moves. I mean, you watch him take a 100-yard kick return, to the house. You watch him today against the Vikings ripping off a 70-yard run in the scrimmage. I mean, the guy is electric, and he's going to make play after play after play after play, and he's just going to not only be a good player to own, he's going to be a fun player to own, Bradley. Very fun player to own. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun, too. Fun player. You want him.
Yes, TreVeyon Henderson. Get him on your fantasy teams. New England is one of those teams that they have upside. They're still figuring out what their depth chart is going to look like at wide receiver. I think that's pretty murky still. But at running back, they invested heavily in TreVeyon Henderson. They still have Ramondre Stevenson there, who, for all his warts, is still an NFL-capable running back. But you can't deny the talent, the electricity that TreVeyon has. His first touch in the preseason goes the distance.
Just incredible. I mean, I'm still workshopping nicknames for him. Should we be calling him TV Henderson? Highlight Henderson? There's got to be something here. I mean, TreVeyon is, it's okay, but, we got to work on a nickname for this guy, and it's going to be a good one.
We'll workshop it. All right. When we get back, Dan and I are going to bring you a few more names that we want you. Look, we're not leaving our drafts without these players. You shouldn't be either. More right after this.
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and Dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code UNDERWORLD to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go get it!
That's right, go get it on the FFPC. Boom, boom, boom. All right, Dan, I'm not leaving my drafts without Jeudy. He is been my off-season. I've been pounding the table for Jeudy. I don't care. Once again, you'll see the theme here. Everyone knows the theme. I don't care about the quarterback situation. He's wide receiver 40. He's wide receiver 40 right now. Dan is so upset. He's left the pod. He is so angry right now. It is okay. I have frustrated Dan to no end. Jeudy is my pick. Yeah, here we go. Look, we know what he did with Dorian.
My camera was shaking from the
It was convulsing. It was a convulsion right in front of all the live people. The people were getting worried about you, Dan, that Jeudy was doing things to you off screen. Nevertheless, Jeudy has been my Insta pick. He has been just so clearly the value at wide receiver 40. The pathway for him to get to wide receiver 18, 15. I mean, I projected him higher than Amon-Ra St. Brown in my projections. I don't care. He plays on the outside. He wins on the outside. Stefanski knew how to unlock Jeudy this year, and he did it with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jameis Winston, the skeleton of Deshaun Watson. Like, yes, they had to get Deshaun Watson out of there because literally it was the worst quarterback performance the entire year from that quarterback. But it doesn't matter because it's going to be either Joe Flacco or it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. Because I don't see how Pickett or Dylan Gabriel are going to get meaningful snaps. They're not going to last long, even if they start one or two games. They're either going to go full Flacco or they're going to see what they get with Shedeur Sanders. Or maybe Sanders doesn't even make the team and it's just Flacco the whole way. That's how I'm viewing it. So the upside for Jerry Jeudy to get to like wide receiver 20 to pay off massively is there. So I've been pounding the table for Jeudy for months. Dan, tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. As a matter of fact, last night, JD and I were doing a big gorilla draft together, and I had to pound the table for Jeudy and basically insist that we draft him. I was like, JD, if I get one player, this is where I want to take him, and this is who I want to take, and it's Jerry Jeudy. So that's what we did.
Love it. You love to see it. You love to get it. You love some Jeudy. All right, Dan, your camera's frozen, but still give us the goods.
All right. Yes, I don't know what's going on with my camera, but as long as you can still hear me, that's all that matters. Let's go with RJ Harvey.
Ooh, spicy.
Oh, yeah.
RB5 from Denver, RJ Harvey.
The man has some swerve to his game. I like what I'm seeing. I like the idea that he could be the Kamara in this offense. That would be absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, I think that when you draft a 25-year-old running back, you're not drafting him to sit on your bench for a year. J.K. Dobbins, good running back, nice compliment, has a lot of, he's got a lot of wisdom of how to play the running back position and everything else. And I do think they are going to use him a fair amount. But I'm telling you, I think R.J. Harvey is the way to play this backfield. And we're getting him at a discount just because of J.K. Dobbins being around. So I'll take that discount all day because if they announce that Harvey is going to be the starter, and by the way, the most laughable thing ever was R.J. Harvey, 5th on the depth chart. That was so great.
Yeah, just see the stock drop and then just click. Like,
Right.
That's what we wanted to hear. Those are the types of things that sharps take advantage of.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we're going to give you each one more player that we are targeting. I'm going to scroll down the ADPs. And Dan, you got the privilege of drafting or picking a tight end earlier. I'm going to give you a tight end. And that's Mark Andrews. The Mandrews. Last year, at the beginning of the year, it was a wash. He was in a car accident. He wasn't practicing. He was shaken up. His life flashed before his eyes. But then he's just started to catch touchdowns. And that's all he did at the end of the year. And you know what? Lamar Jackson should have won the MVP last year. The only reason he didn't was because of MVP fatigue. He had better stats than Josh Allen. Straight up played better than Josh Allen. And there's arguments that they both don't have superstar pass-catching talent around them. They've got running backs. James Cook signed an extension. Derrick Henry signed an extension. He did sign an extension this offseason. But Mandrews they could have cut him. They could have moved on. And instead, it's going to be the Mandrews show, especially the beginning of the year now. This is the Mandrews time where I've been just clicking and clicking because he's fallen so far. Like, he's not dust. Travis Kelce's going ahead of him, and we know what Kelce is. And instead, it's Mark Andrews. So give me Mandrews. Also, honorable mention TJ Hawkinson, but his price has risen significantly.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I have a lot of Mark Andrews bags and a good amount of TJ Hawkinson bags as well. But a lot of Mark Andrews bags because he was falling so late before Likely got hurt, and then his price still has not risen that much. So I'm all in on him. He is the premier weapon in the passing game around the goal line in that offense, 100%. I mean, touchdowns, they're what supercharge fantasy seasons. And when you get those touchdowns, man, oh man, that's what you want. And last year, he started off super slow because, he was coming off of an injury. This year, looks fully healthy. Gotta love it. I think he's going to be an integral part of this offense, and I am here for it. And especially if you're not playing in tight end premium where, you don't have these PPR scams who are able to kind of, catch their way up by just catching these 5-yard passes and falling down. Jake Ferguson, you know who you are.
Dalton Schultz.
Dalton Schultz, that's right. Pat Freiermuth, guys.
Guys.
All right. I love it. And my last player I'm going to give to you.
Okay.
All right. And it's probably going to be one you don't like since you gave me a couple players I wasn't high on. I got to give you one that you're not high on so you can return the favor and you can tell me what an idiot I am. All right. Xavier Worthy.
Straight to the heart.
Straight to the heart. I'm telling you, Rashee Rice is getting 6 games for sure. I'm convinced of that. Even if it's 4 games, doesn't matter. Worthy is going to open up, and he's going to have a lot of that Worthy role, or a lot of that Rashee Rice role. And you know what? It might be hard for Rice to get his job back because Worthy is, he could go full Tyreek Hill on this offense.
Yeah.
He and Mahomes started putting together the deep game, and it was really clicking at the end of last year. He was kind of a punchline early on in the year, how him and Mahomes, it was almost comical how, Worthy would have 1 foot out of bounds, or, he would lose concentration at the last second and the ball would slip through his fingers, or Mahomes would totally overthrow him or totally underthrow him or whatever. It was like this comedy of errors, and it was, it went back and forth whose fault it was, all that kind of stuff. And you know what? Didn't matter. At the end, I don't care if it was garbage time in the Super Bowl, whatever. Those touchdowns still count. The Eagles were still playing hard. They weren't looking to give up points, and Worthy was out there just absolutely starting to go Tyreek Hill. So if he can work his short game, and he also does some work on the ground as well. He can do some work rushing with the jet sweeps and whatnot as well. He is a multi-talented player. He's the fastest player in the NFL. He's got probably the best pure passer in the NFL throwing him the ball. I want in. I want all the Worthy. I think he can easily be a top 8 receiver.
So I have had to move Rashee Rice down, and as a result, have to move Xavier Worthy up. So I'm not as dead on arrival as Xavier Worthy, but is he a 20% target share type of guy, a 21% target share type of guy? It's going to be hard for me to project Xavier Worthy more than 120 targets. That's hard for me to do, Dan. So I don't know if I can get there. We could see 7-8 touchdowns for Xavier Worthy, I think, pretty comfortably. But I don't know if I can get to the 120 targets, 75 receptions type of output. So,
I can get there.
I don't know.
Trust me.
I don't know.
Travis Kelce, he's looking better. You know what? He's 36 years old. Hollywood Henderson. Things are not looking good for Hollywood right now.
He's dealing with an injury.
To come down to the weapons are falling to the wayside.
Yeah.
And Xavier Worthy is for sure going to get you off to a good start. You know what? And by that time, if he's that entrenched in the offense, I think the sky is the limit. So
I have moved Kelce down significantly. I have Kelce only projected for a 16% target share this year, which is still good for tight ends, but it's not anywhere close to what we were projecting. It was probably 2/3 of what we were projecting for Kelce last year. And he was more like 20 to 22% and disappeared in some games. So I tried to bake all of that in with the Kelce, but Xavier Worthy, he's Deshaun Jackson. And you're going to see these massive spike weeks from Deshaun Jackson. And you have a really good passer with Mahomes. I get it. I don't disagree with that. It's just very hard for me to see Worthy getting the targets consistently that we want. Maybe this is a player that I'm just going to be wrong on, Dan, and he might beat me, and it won't feel good. It'll be like you if T. Higgins pays off. You're just not going to feel good about it.
Well,
So
let's make a deal. All right. If Worthy pays off, then Higgins pays off. Okay. That's the deal.
shake the hand. Great. I love doing this exercise. It's always important for us to go through the process of identifying players. Yes, it's fun to like rag on players, but really think about the guys who we are actively clicking on throughout drafts. Before we go, this is just like I'm looking at the Chiefs roster, and I've been thinking about pretty deeply their running back depth chart. And there's been a lot of chatter about, is it Eli Mitchell? Is it Brashard Smith, the rookie? We're not talking about Carson Steele anymore. He's fullback. Carson. You remember a year ago it was like Carson Steele season.
Oh yeah. Carson Steele and his pet gator.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he became a phenomenon. And like Kareem Hunt is still on the team and getting some usage. But I'm kind of feeling right now that Isaiah Pacheco is undervalued. If he returns with the juice, he's the RB1 on a Chiefs team. Get some goal line work. We know he's not much of a pass catcher. That's fine. But he's going like RB27. I feel like that's a good value for what the Chiefs running back can bring. And he's proven, Isaiah Pacheco has proven that he can play very well in this Andy Reid offense. So, Dan, are you reading it similarly, or are you not as optimistic about Isaiah Pacheco?
No, I'm fairly good with Pacheco where he's going. At RB27, if he stays healthy, he's easily going to beat that. So I'm totally fine with Pacheco. I do worry about, I would rather draft a pass catching running back, but at that point in the draft, there are times where Pacheco makes a lot of sense for me, and I'm clicking on him because he does have a really nice floor. He does have access to, a ceiling on at least some weeks as well. I think he's, if he stays healthy, he knows the offense, he knows the game plan. He's going to be a part of the game plan. Mahomes trusts him. There's a lot to like there, absolutely. And everybody else in that backfield is more of a lottery ticket than anything else. And so, you can play 3 lottery tickets, or you can play the guy who's pretty certain to pay off. So I'm playing the guy who's pretty certain to pay off.
Let's get the payoff with Isaiah Pacheco. All right, Dan, any last words for the people who were disappointed that Chuck Bass did not reprise his role as my co-host for this?
I'm blaming Chuck Bass for my camera. He's the one who froze me up.
Chuck's like, I'm here for the sabotage. Anything
Yes.
I can do to throw Dan off his game.
That's right.
Bradley
That's right.
should talk to him about T. Higgins some more and just make Dan's nose wrinkle on live stream.
Next week on Stack Hunters, it will be Chuck Bass interviewing Chuck Bass about Chuck Bass.
Stack attack. Oh my gosh. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out that episode, it was a riot. It was unhinged, unlike anything I'd ever done in my life. Dan, this has been great. Make sure you guys are following Dan at Overhyped Sleeper, but no E at the end of Sleeper, just Sleeper. Sleeper. And you can follow me at FF Stalder. Until next time, everyone, good luck in the fantasy football and, in particular, the last round of best ball. So, like, the slow drafts are going to be stopping here in just a little bit, or slowing down. Get your drafts in. Now is the time, and the tourist season is opening in the best ball streets. Dan, take advantage of it. Now is the time. Do not hold back. Draft. Stack. Till next time, everyone. We'll see you.